Hey guys, this video is for our 2nd through 4th grade leaders for September week 3. This is actually the 4th week of September. It'll be September 23rd, but it'll only be the 3rd week of our curriculum. So this month our theme is dirty jobs, and our life app for the month is initiative, seeing what needs to be done and doing it. All month long we're learning about Nehemiah. So the first week Nehemiah heard about the wall, and our bottom line was be on the lookout for what needs to be done. Last week, kids learned about how Nehemiah planned to rebuild the wall, and our bottom line was don't wait for someone else to do what needs to be done. This week, Nehemiah is going to kind of meet an enemy in Sanballat, and our bottom line is stay focused on what needs to be done. Our memory verse for the month is work at everything you do with all your heart. Work as if you were working for the Lord. Colossians 3:23. So jumping into this week's leader guide, again, super important to make sure that when you are serving that you're here at 8:30 and 10:30. That will give you a chance to huddle up with your team. Pray for the kids that you'll be serving. Just pray that they're going to have a hard time recognizing when they're being distracted. So pray that God can help them realize this and can keep them on track to do what needs to be done. Pray for each other as a team. Ask for prayer requests. Ask for what's going on good in your lives. And then make sure that you're ready for the morning. When kids start to roll in at 8:40 and 10:40, as they join your circle, ask about their week. Make sure you know everybody's name. Make sure any first-time students feel very welcomed. And then a little icebreaker, talk to kids about distractions. What are they? What distracts them? How do other people distract them? What do they do to get back on task? And then you can even play a game of Simon Says and let kids take turns being Simon. And when service starts at 9 and 11, you're going to do an interactivity called What's Your Number? So you're going to have kids start counting as high as they can, and while they're counting, you're going to randomly start saying other numbers. And then you're going to ask them to stop and start over from 1. And this time, make them stop completely every few seconds while you say some random numbers and then have them resume. So while they're counting, you're just going to throw in random numbers, and the second time you're going to say, they're going to be counting, you say, okay, stop. And then tell them a bunch of random numbers, and then have them keep counting. Another thing they could do, they could partner up. One partner says random numbers while the other partner tries to count. And then to close the activity down, you could say, guys, it was hard to keep counting with all those distractions, wasn't it? Well, today in large group, we're going to hear about someone who had to stay focused so he could get a really big job done. Then you'll head across the hall to large group. Just make sure that you sit with your group, help them to worship and listen. When you get back from large group, you're going to do an activity called Don't Do As I Do. So you got a bunch of these that will be on your cart, on the bottom shelf of your cart next to your Bibles. And it's just a bunch of little activities. Pat your head, jumping jacks, run in place, flap like a bird. And so it says they're going to cut the activity pages apart. We already did that for you. And they're going to make a set of cards. So you should have enough sets of cards that you have about 5 sets per group, so that you should have 1 set per partnership. So you're going to have kids partner up, and then what they're going to do is they're going to stand and face each other with a stack of cards face down in between them. And when you say go, each kid is going to choose a card from the top of the stack and do that action while they're facing their partner. And they're going to keep doing that for 20 seconds and then say stop and have them draw another card and repeat it. So the kids will be doing different things while they're looking at each other. One kid might pick jumping jacks, and the next kid might pick pat your head. And you're going to close that down by saying, great job. So when you guys were doing those actions, you really had to stay focused on what you were supposed to be doing and not what the other person was doing. Even though you were looking at what the other person was doing the whole time, you had to remember what your own action was. So sometimes it can be really easy to look around at what everyone else is doing and let it be a distraction for what you're trying to do. For instance, maybe you're finishing up a test, but someone near you is already done and they're talking. Or maybe you and your sister are supposed to be cleaning up your room, but your sister just really wants to play with all the toys. So we just have to remember these situations, and we have to remember to stay focused on what needs to be done. When Nehemiah was distracted, he would pray and ask God to help him finish what he was doing. And that's a good way for us to remember to stay focused also. So when you get distracted this week, remember to pray and ask God to help you keep going. Oh, your friend left, Lola. Is that why you're sad? Hi. We have baby play dates on Mondays. Okay, so then for your memory verse review, you're going to do a game called Balancing Act. So you're going to divide your kids into 2 teams, and each team is going to get one of these sets of plastic cups. Each cup has a word from your memory verse on it. These cups will be on the bottom shelf of your cart next to your Bibles. So you're going to open your Bibles to Colossians 3:23. and have them practice the memory verse several times with their motions. Then you're going to use the masking tape that's on your cart to make 2 X's on one side of your small group area. And you're going to gather the group on the side of the room opposite to the X's. So you're going to make 2 X's, and then you're going to put the 2 teams on the other side of the X's. So what teams have to do is they have to balance the cups on their heads, put their hands on each other's shoulders, and make a line and walk together from one side of the room around the X and back. And once they make it back successfully, they're going to build their cups into a pyramid in the verse order to win the game. So if anybody's cup falls off, the whole team has to walk back and start over. So you can do this as many times as you want. So each person on the team is going to put a cup on their head. If you don't have enough kids, then they'll put 2 or 3 cups on their head. And just a tip, the cups are going to be easier to balance if they're upside down on the kid's head. So they'll put a cup on their head, walk around the X, come back, and then stack all their cups in order like a pyramid. So to close that activity down, you'll just say, wow, guys, it definitely took some focus and concentration to walk in the line and not drop those cups. It's especially important to stay focused on what needs to be done when we have a hard job to do. So even when something hard happens, we have to pay attention and make sure we do it as if we're doing it for the Lord. Then you have some optional small group discussion questions to talk about getting distracted. So maybe if you want to bring a snack or a treat for your small group, or to sit down and kind of chat together about those questions, there's some great questions to go over there. And then to close down in prayer, if possible, just turn off the lights in the room, which we have lots of natural lights, so we can totally do that. And then ask your group to give examples of distractions that come along and make it hard for them to get things like chores and homework done. And then talk to kids just about quieting their minds and focusing on nothing but talking to God for the next few minutes. Give them a minute or 2 to just pray quietly, pray silently to God by themselves, and then you can close down with this prayer below. So that's it. If kids haven't been here yet this month, make sure they get a parent cue and a memory verse card to take home. Thank you guys so much for being small group leaders. You are just amazing. I'm so thankful for you. We had 75 2nd through 4th graders this past weekend, which is just huge. So thank you guys for showing up every single week and leading these kids so faithfully. Have a great week, and we'll see you on Sunday.